Hey everyone, it's Michelle. In today's video, I'm finally giving an updated review on NIOD's CAIS3. I figured since this month is the DCM Slowvember sale month where the copper peptide products are up to 50% off, I thought it would be a good time to share some updated thoughts about this serum. My first review was around this time last year. I used it just over 6 months consistently. Last year, NIOD CAIS3 was my star active serum in my skincare routine because I did discontinue tretinoin for a bit. My skin was healing from various CO2 FRAXEL laser sessions, so I really wanted to use an active that was gentle and also supported the wound healing process from the CO2 FRAXEL laser sessions. On top of that, I still wanted an active that would contribute to the well-aging process. I am in my early 30s, so this is one of the goals I have, not necessarily to tackle any aging concerns right now, more just prevent and prolong. So at the time, peptides fit into that description. I have on and off used peptides in my skincare routine before. Prior to using NIOD CAIS3, I did finish up bottles of the buffet serums, now multi-peptide plus AHA serums from The Ordinary. I used both the regular buffet and the buffet with copper peptides. If you're interested in my experience with those, I'll be sure to leave a link to the review in the description box down below. But after using those products as an introduction of including peptides more frequently in my skincare routine, I thought NIOD CAIS3 would be a good continuation from there, especially considering what my skin was going through during that time. For a more detailed review on NIOD CAIS3, I encourage you to check out the original review, which I will link in the description box down below. This updated review is going to be a little bit quicker, hopefully, and not as many cutaways as the first one. NIOD CAIS3 retails for $93 for the 30 ml size, which is the one I have. But when I first purchased this, I did get it for 30% off. The original price at the time was $90, so they did up the price by $3, considering how it's such a good sale going on right now for the copper peptides. The price when purchasing this month will still be a lot better than when I originally purchased it. In short, the claims of NIOD CAIS3 is to help with overall skin texture, minimize pores, create a more even skin tone, help with firmness, just overall healthier skin. At the time when I reviewed NIOD CAIS3, like I said, I've used it just over 6 months in my skincare routine. I first started rotating it every other day, then I increased it to every day, then increased it to twice a day, reduced it again to once a day once I started including a fermented serum and tretinoin back in my skincare routine. During that 6-month period of me using NIOD CAIS3 consistently, I did experience both short-term and long-term benefits. The short terms was pretty much instant gratification. I noticed right away that my skin looked more refined, my pores were minimized, and it produced an even skin tone. The skin refinement was so impressive. It reminded me of the time when I first started using 0.04% tretinoin when I moved up from 0.3% adapalene. That's how significant the texture refinement was to me. Again, in the short term, I also noticed my skin tone looked more even and just overall a nicer complexion in general. However, in terms of brightness, I wouldn't say it was as intense as what I experienced with the formula of The Ordinary's Buffet Plus Copper Peptide Serum. The main long-term benefit I experienced with NIOD CAIS3 after 6 months of use was the strength in my skin barrier, and during that year I was using NIOD CAIS3, that was a much needed benefit because my skin again was recovering from various CO2 FRAXEL laser sessions. So as you can imagine, my skin was very sensitive, pretty raw after going through those procedures, and it really needed some TLC. A more specific example being when it would be my time of the month, my skin barrier would be very impaired and it was visually obvious. My skin would look more textured, very uneven. I had breakouts on my face that were pretty inflamed. When using NIOD CAIS3 consistently, I noticed I didn't really experience much of that texture problem. my skin felt more calm, and any breakout I got, it did not look as inflamed or as intense in previous times. I felt like it was able to heal rather quickly. Overall, my complexion would look really good and I would just happen to have a pimple on my face. Overall, at the time, NIOD CAIS3 was really good for my skin. After that review, I was using the fermented serum more consistently in my skincare routine, and I did reintroduce tretinoin. My skin also experienced an allergic reaction during that time, plus some facial flushing from certain foods I've been eating. So I did have to actually reduce my skincare routine in general, and with that I did include discontinuing the use of NIOD CAIS3. The only active in my skincare routine at that time was my tretinoin prescription at 0.1%. I've kept my skincare routine pretty minimal ever since, even more so this year. My morning skincare routine, which I featured last in my simple summer skincare routine, that's pretty much what I've been doing for a good chunk of the year. I would say around 4 to 5 months, just cleansing my face in the morning, applying moisturizer and SPF. I reintroduced NIOD CAIS3 in my skincare routine in the springtime. I did stop in the summer, started to use more vitamin C and niacinamide for pigmentation purposes. And then near the end of the summer, now that we are in fall, I started picking up NIOD CAIS3 more frequently. During this time from having a break from NIOD CAIS3 and then reintroducing it into my skincare routine, I still do notice the short-term benefits that I originally had last year. The instant gratification of skin texture refinement, pore minimization, and an even skin tone. However, when I did not use NIOD CAIS3 in my skincare routine, I still experienced the same short-term instant gratification benefits from other products in my skincare routine, namely a fermented serum. I mentioned this in the previous review, but with a fermented serum, I do notice a more brightening effect on my skin, an even tone complexion. It also long-term helped with the strength of my skin barrier. It also made the texture of my skin look good because it did hydrate my skin, therefore plumping up my skin a little bit more, which I found NIOD CAIS3 does not do. It does not plump up the skin with moisture. So my skin looked plumper, which in turn makes my skin look really nice and smooth, and my pores look really good. I also use tretinoin in my nighttime skincare routine. So when it comes to texture refinement, I notice just as much texture refinement from using that I would from NIOD CAIS3. Another thing about my skin barrier is that ever since going pretty minimal with my skincare routine in general and really focusing on lifestyle changes this year, I've noticed that my skin is not as insanely reactive as it used to be in the past. I've noticed way less redness in general on my skin, that I haven't really used a lot of complexion products this year. I am using a little bit of concealer today, but in a lot of my previous videos, I'm not wearing anything on my face, just sunscreen. With that being said, let's move on to the pros and cons of NIOD CAIS3. The pros are really that it does meet up to the claims in terms of creating an overall healthy skin, texture refinement, minimizing pores, evening out the skin tone. Another pro is that it does provide long-term benefits with consistent use, and considering when I used this originally last year when my skin was the most sensitive, it really did serve its purpose at helping to strengthen my skin barrier and just keep my skin overall happy. Another pro I mentioned last year about NIOD CAIS3 was the mileage I get with this serum, and that still stands true. I only need a few drops of this to cover my entire face and neck, provided that I am applying it on slightly damp skin. It was only with a few drops that I saw the benefits of this serum. So if you're thinking that you're going to go through this fast, really consider how you're applying it on your skin. With just a few drops, this can last you a while in your skincare collection. That's it for the main pros of NIOD CAIS3. Now moving on to the cons, and it really is one, and I'm sure you can guess, it is the price. $93 US without any deals. It's very expensive. However, considering that this month's sale is 50% off the copper peptide products and they may or may not do it in spring. They have been doing a spring sale of 23% off. I would say it's around those 2 times of year. It would be great to pick up NIOD CAIS3, and considering the mileage you can get from this serum, those are perfect times of year to pick this up. That is it for the con of NIOD CAIS3. Now moving on to the final point I want to touch on, which is the in-between feel. It's neither a pro or a con. I'm just plain confused really about this. Yes, I have seen short-term and long-term benefits with this product. However, I have other skincare products in my routine that give me the same benefits. When it comes to the short-term benefits of skin refinement, 0.1% tretinoin most definitely does that. And on top of that, it helps with acne control, which NIOD CAIS3 does not. That brings me to the long-term benefits. Yes, with long-term use, I did notice last year that my skin barrier seemed better when it was my time of the month, which I tend to break out the most. My skin would become more red and splotchy. My skin would look a bit more textured. I did not experience any of those issues other than a breakout, and even then the breakout wasn't as nasty, not as inflamed as it would be in prior times. However, I also mentioned that a fermented serum has given me the exact same benefits when it comes to long-term use. I actually experienced a more brighter complexion from using a fermented serum, as well as a reduction in redness around my nose specifically. Those points, which are similar to last year, still stand, and in addition to the skincare I currently have in my collection that does similar things as NIOD CAIS3, I've done a huge change in my lifestyle this year, where I've noticed that my skin does not feel dehydrated anymore. I don't get that uncomfortably tight feeling in my skin. My skin's been looking less red, and to the point where I've barely worn concealer this year. I don't need to rely on as many products in my skincare routine in general. The main point of confusion I have about NIOD CAIS3 is whether or not I really need to have it in my skincare routine. That is it for the pros, cons, and in-between feels that I have of NIOD CAIS3. For the most part, I pretty much experienced all the benefits that the serum claims to have, except for one, which is firmness, because simply I do not have a concern in that department when it comes to my skin. I have seen other skincare content creators talk about firmness and how this serum has helped in that regard. So even though I have not experienced any change in that regard, it's not to say that the serum won't help in that department. Having said that, if you think you have a problem with firmness in your skin by going like this in the mirror, I'm going to tell you right now to stop it. That is not an issue at all. It is normal to have a bit of skin moving on your face because that's what makes it comfortable to be expressive in general. There's no such thing as a face that looks naturally like this, okay? Overall, do I recommend NIOD CAIS3? I would say yes, if your skin was like mine last year, where it was really sensitive, barrier was easily impaired, and you just wanted a gentle active to help with refining texture, minimizing pores, creating an even skin tone, and strengthening the skin. This is a very lightweight serum, very easy to include in one's skincare routine. And like I said, if you use this correctly with just a few drops as needed, this can go a long way. As for me, whether or not I will be repurchasing NIOD CAIS3 during the Slovember sale, I'm going to say right now, no, because even at 50% off, I still feel like I really don't need this in my skincare routine because, like I said, there are other products that I like using more that offer the same results. That is it for this updated review on NIOD CAIS3. As always, I hope you find content like this helpful and informative, especially now during the Slovember sale if you've been debating on picking this serum up, if it's right for you and if it's worth your money. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel down below for future videos. Leave a comment down below if you will be picking up anything during the Slovember sale on DCM's website. If you have tried NIOD CAIS3 before, or even CAIL, I would love to read about your experiences. That is it for this video. See you all soon. Ciao.